Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning on a day that's actually kind of interesting. Another beautiful day in the greatest city on earth. Uh, as a wise person said, we're ready for action, nip it in the bud. We're never relaxing. Outcast is everlasting, not chasing, not at all. That's for anyone asking. And we congratulate Savannah born, Savannah bred Antoine Patton, a.k.a. Big Boy, and his partner, Andre 3000, on their recent induction in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We were really excited about that. Then he shouts out Savannah, shouts out Trix Barbecue on the west side. So, we were just all happy about that. No one has been able to do quite what Outkast has been able to do. They are undoubtedly the greatest hip hop duo of all time. And they have certainly received the recognition they deserve on the biggest stage of all. For us, that is Savannah Strong, and so we are excited for them, and we're excited for all this means to them and from where they come from. We not only make Rock and Roll Hall of Famers here, we also make NFL Super Bowl champions, and for the folks at Georgia Southern that found out, we also make outstanding basketball players. Flau'jae Johnson came home kind of sort of, and she did her thing. And so although we were kind of rooting for our Georgia Southern Eagles, we were not mad that Flau'jae got hers. So again, the best of the best comes out of our neighborhoods, and so we never, ever doubt what we're able to do here and why it's so important for us to be able to cultivate the very nature of the spirit, the athleticism, the creativity of young people here, because they grow up to do great things all over the world. So again, just very excited about that. If you are on our social media platforms, you can go ahead and put your comments or questions into the chat, and I will respond to those after our media partners. A couple of things I want to unpack this morning. Part of the reason why I'm here, I was scheduled to be in Belém, Brazil, speaking at the COP30 conference. Went to the airport on Sunday morning, and flights started getting canceled. My 6:30 a.m. flight was canceled. It was pushed to 8 o'clock. That was pushed to 10:30. And then the flight from Atlanta to Miami got canceled. So I couldn't get to Miami in time to catch the flight from Miami to Belém, and so therefore my travel was canceled. I am not alone in that frustration, as I was along with many people who had a lot more pressing obligations, and really it was, it's just, what do? You don't want to go somewhere and get stuck, and then you go too far, and then you can't get back. And literally for me, even though the 637 flight was canceled the night before, the 8 o'clock was pushed back the morning of. The 12:30 flight from Atlanta to Miami did not get canceled until a little bit before 9 o'clock, after they said, well, the flight was going to be fine. But that's what we are living with, and that's what we are going through. I do thank the great folks at the Savannah Hilton Head International Airport. In spite of all of these things they could not control, they did absolutely every single thing they could to make passengers feel comfortable, and certainly to give them the information as the best of their ability. But as you know, the situation is and continues to remain fluid. We are now 44 days into the longest government shutdown, 43 days into the longest government shutdown in our country's history. Every American has felt the impact of this shutdown one way or another. On Monday, to continue that saga, over 2,300 flights were grounded due to the lack of air traffic controllers, according to the Associated Press. And so while the Senate has passed legislation that could reopen the government, we'll see today how the House of Representatives will vote. The funding bill being taken up today will provide funding, as I understand it, for most agencies through January the 30th. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's FY 2026 budget is included, which means that Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, benefits will likely be funded and on schedule this December. The key word here is likely. We have seen a lot of disruptions in the last 40 days and changes in direction seemingly every day as courts continue to hear and rule on lawsuits, and our government in Washington struggles to find some consensus and some cohesion. And it's less clear to us whether November's SNAP benefits will be included in December's distributions. Today, the likelihood that families will have a full complement of SNAP benefits in time for Thanksgiving is unclear. If this funding agreement on the floor of the House is passed, SNAP and women, infants, and children, or called WIC benefits, will be funded through September the 30th, 2026. So I'm urging really our community, nonprofits, our faith community, and others to continue to focus on Thanksgiving food drives and food-focused interventions, which may be necessary in the coming weeks. As we announced last week, the city of Savannah is continuing to do what we can in this space and in this time, going hard. As you know, we participated in a food drive last Friday with Chatham County and Second Harvest Food Bank. Over 1,000 people in a short period of time coming from all over our region. And this was something I think was very helpful. I was out there for a while, and I will tell you that some of the people I encountered had tears in their eyes. Some of the people I encountered had on the uniforms of the United States military. And so it just shows you the length and breadth of what is happening here. We hope that our representatives in Congress will reach a consensus and do something significant. Now, again, I believe that we can open our government and protect the ACA healthcare benefits. It makes no sense going from one crisis to another crisis. But we know that there are approximately 14,000 households in Savannah and 45,000 people in Chatham County that are unsure if they will have the funds to buy food this month or next. So as a part of our partnership with the Second Harvest Food Bank, the city has provided a $50,000 grant to assist with pre-packaged food boxes. So beginning this morning at 10 o'clock, the city and the Second Harvest will distribute 1,400 food boxes across every aldermanic district. There are 6 of them in the next 3 days. At 2 separate sites in different districts, each day we will distribute about 234 food boxes from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or while the supplies last. Today we will be at the Moses Jackson Community Center in District 1 at 10 a.m. and at Savannah Fire Department Station 11 in District 6. Tomorrow, food boxes will be available at W.W. Law Community Center in District 2 and at the Pennsylvania Avenue Resource Center in District 3 beginning at 10 a.m. On Friday, residents in need can pick up food boxes at the Savannah Fire Department Station 7 in District 4 and the Liberty City Community Center in District 5. Now, in this case, we have to be very, very clear. Residents must be, in order to receive a food box, you must be a resident of the city of Savannah and must be able to provide ID to that effect. This is City of Savannah funds, so therefore it's only right that it goes to City of Savannah residents. You can't just have Savannah, Georgia on your ID and it's okay. You have to actually live within the corporate limits of the City of Savannah. And you must be ages 18 or older. We will provide 1 food box per household while supplies last. And I certainly hope and pray that this time of uncertainty ends soon and that our neighbors, our friends, and our family will get the help they need as we move into the holiday season. Yesterday, another beautiful day in our city, but Savannah took the time to honor those who have served our country in the armed forces with our 79th Veterans Day Parade. It was cold out there for a minute, but it warmed up actually pretty quickly. But I was present and accounted for in the midst of some amazing American heroes that happen to be Savannahans. An incredible celebration despite the impact of the shutdown and the cold weather. Interestingly enough, we did not have any active duty military, which is usually a big hallmark of our parade. We are a military city, and we are home to many active duty service members, veterans, retirees, and their families. On any given day, Hunter Army Airfield and Fort Stewart are home to thousands of our nation's best soldiers, and we remain grateful for their service. Last week as well, I was out at Hunter Army Airfield. We had over 300 soldiers from the 3rd ID that deployed to Poland, and I had the opportunity, as I usually do, to see them off, to certainly give them our gratefulness and certainly wish God's blessings on them for a safe flight and a successful deployment. This is a 9-month rotation, and these soldiers won't be home until maybe June of next year. So could you imagine, in the midst of even that, the holidays here, and what's on these soldiers' minds? And so we keep these folks in our thoughts, and we certainly keep them in our prayers. As a result, yesterday's city offices and facilities were closed due to this federal holiday. Team Savannah is back at work in full effect today. Sanitation services were also affected due to the closure. Residential garbage collection and yard waste collection services will resume routes today on a 1-day delayed schedule. Wednesday curbside recycling routes will run on Thursday, and Thursday routes will run on Friday, so a day behind. And street sweeping services will resume today as well. Also tonight, our Water Resources Department will be holding the second of 3 community meetings on the proposed stormwater utility. Back in April, we were talking about this, and staff held several initial community meetings on this new utility. And this is the second round of community meetings. At these meetings, staff will share specific information about the projects, service delivery, and the proposed stormwater utility user fees for each customer type. This is nothing new. Last year, when it was raining and we had the deluge going on, we set up the stormwater utility, and we directed the city manager to come up with ways to fund it. We have to make sure that we are very proactively finding ways to protect our stormwater system. You know what happens when we get out of this cold weather. You know what happens when the weather warms up. We have to make sure that we are doing what we can on a consistent basis and in a very dedicated fund to be able to maintain our stormwater maintenance and our utilities. So I encourage residents and business owners to attend these meetings to learn more about how the proposed new utility will impact them. We know that Savannah has flooded since 1733 and beyond. And for years, we have put millions of dollars in the ground to mitigate the worst of flooding when the rains come. And when in some parts of town now, it may rain and it might flood a little bit, but it doesn't stay flooded. And we're not seeing structural damage like we used to years ago. So we're seeing the results of that work. But we are also facing the impact of a changing climate that's changing rapidly, that's becoming hotter and wetter, and that's bringing stronger storms and more rain than ever. And so to that point, building and maintaining infrastructure is expensive and more important than ever. Thanks to the voters' approval of SPLOST, we now have $60 million of dedicated funding for future stormwater drainage capital projects, and that is a drop in the budget. $60 million seems like a whole lot of money. It's not in the stormwater world. For years, we have explored the notion of a dedicated funding source to address the long-term maintenance of our stormwater system. And this is what this new utility will primarily be used for. It will also alleviate dependence on the general fund, which clears up money that could be used for other vital services. So again, I encourage everyone to join us tonight at 5:30 p.m. at the Pennsylvania Avenue Resource Center, or tomorrow night at the Beach High School facility to learn more about the proposed utility and how it affects you. That being said, as a government, we have a number of different ways to provide the services we provide for you. How that money is collected and then how it's reallocated to services is really at the heart of our annual budget discussion. Unlike Congress, by law, the city of Savannah must pass a balanced budget by the end of the calendar year, period. And so as we head into the final month and a half of this budget year, it's now time to consider our FY or fiscal year 2026 budget. And we do this in open space. We don't do it behind closed doors. We set the table. We invite you to come and see how the cake is actually baked as we look at every detail of next year's budget. Each year, we hold our budget retreat, which is a public meeting where council sits around the table with staff and discuss funding priorities for the next year. The city manager recommends a budget, but the city council approves the budget. Therefore, it is our budget. Our proposed budget and capital improvement program for FY26 is now available for the public to read, and you can download all of it at savannahga.gov/budget, savannahga.gov/budget. And this will be the first budget that will be guided and directed by our new strategic plan, Savannah GPS. So you can join us on next Tuesday, 9 a.m. Is it 17th? The 17th, I think. Yes? Or Monday. It's Monday. Monday. I think it is. Monday. Whatever day the 17th is, at 9 a.m. for our budget retreat. And we'll have more details on the budget retreat posted on savannahga.gov and on our official social media channels this week. So certainly be a part of that. On this Thursday, well, tomorrow, we will hold our first regular meeting of November. We'll start the day at noon. We'll have a workshop where we will discuss a public art master plan update that we've been working on for a while and a housing development update. At our 2 o'clock regular meeting, we have a 30-item agenda, 4 presentations, 2 alcohol licenses, and a number of purchasing items. Under agreements, we will consider several new water and sewer agreements and an intergovernmental agreement with our sister city, Vernonburg, for fire services. We are in an agreement with Vernonburg to become their fire service provider. And so they will have Class A, world-class fire service in Vernonburg provided by the ISO 1 and fully accredited Savannah Fire Department. Lastly, we have 1 real estate item and 3 settlements from the Savannah City Attorney. To find the full agenda for Thursday's workshop and council meeting, you can visit our website at savannahga.gov/agenda. You can watch both meetings on the city's official Facebook page. You can watch them live on YouTube. You can watch them on my social media, Mayor Johnson SAV, or you can watch it on the award-winning Comcast Channel 8 SGTV. And of course, if you have nothing else to do, come on down and join us here at your Savannah City Hall and City Chambers. Either way, we want you to be engaged. We want you to be informed. And finally, it's time to remind everyone about the list that you don't want to find yourself on. We have become very good 85% of the time of finding the folks on our 10 most wanted list, and we want to keep the streak going. In fact, since I debuted November's top 10, 2 more names have been taken off that list. Do not end up on this list ever. If you hear your name, if you hear your child's name, your grandkid's name, your cousin's name, your nephew's name, your brother's name, talk to them. Talk to them, call them, tell them to lawyer up, tell them to come see us. If your name is called, you know, you don't have to live this type of life with everybody looking for you and with us blasting your face all over the place. Think about what that is doing for you. Think about what that's doing for your family, your grandmama and them, and your cousins and them, and your children and them. You know, get your name up off this list. Just go ahead, you know, take care of your business, then come down and see us. If you hear the name of someone that you know, you can call us directly at 912-525-3124, 912-525-3124. Or you can submit an anonymous tip on the SPD mobile app, or as some of you all have done, call my office at 912-651 4444, 912-651-4444. I'll be glad to talk to you as I have. You know, again, we want to make sure that you get to your tomorrow, but you can't get to your tomorrow until you deal with today. So here we are, November's top 10 most wanted in Savannah. Corey Underwood, aggravated assault. Avery Daniels, burglary. Rictavius Gilliard has been on this list for a while. Y'all know what Rictavius is. Aggravated assault and stalking. Javante Pringles, aggravated assault. Elenexi Castillo has been on here for a while. Battery. Timothy Patterson, rape and aggravated assault. Angelo Wolf, possession of a firearm. Malik Williams, aggravated battery. So those are the names. And then David Waring and Victor Kaysen were both arrested in the last week. So we're taking David Waring and Victor Kaysen off the list. Thank you all so much for that. We want you to do your part in protecting our community. Turn yourself in or turn them in. As always, you can always find this list at Savannah. pd.org/most wanted, savannahpd.org/most wanted. So that concludes my prepared remarks. Again, if you're joining us on social media, if you have questions, you can respond to those questions in the comment section on Mayor Johnson SAV on Facebook and Instagram, or on City of Savannah Facebook and Instagram. We will get to those after our media partners. So let's get started. Who's first?
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning.
Evan Lassiter, Savannah Morning News.
Yes, sir.
Curious timeline for council approving stormwater utility fee. Is that something you've contemplated as a revenue source in next year's budget?
You said about what we're contemplating?
Yeah, so just the timeline for the city to approve the fee, if that's something.
Right, so let's go back. So we've already created the utility. The shell was created, but the question was, how do we fund it? So there were a couple of things we wanted to look at. First of all, we wanted to be able to see if we could find a way to reduce the millage. I think that was important. We had to see what SPLOST was going to look like. And we asked the city manager and team to really figure out a way that we can fund this, but we wanted to make sure we really engage in an exhaustive public education component where people could understand why this is really necessary. Because people will say, oh, here y'all go again, finding another way to tax us. But the reality is that this is a way for us to deal with our long-term issues now, and that is the maintenance of our stormwater system. So my expectation is that if council decides to fund it, that it probably won't start until June or July. So basically it'll be half of the year to give people some time to get used to it. You know, we're just not going right into it in January, and then go into it full stop in 2027. I think the other thing that's really interesting is, Garden City, there are some other folks that actually do this already. It's really a nominal fee but the nominal fee from people paying it will mean this is a dedicated source of funding that will go directly to our stormwater system. And again, for us, we have to call a thing a thing. We need this funding stream to take care of our stormwater system proactively and not worry about the whims of the general fund. General fund, as you know, can be very, very nimble, and sometimes things change, priorities change, council changes, and things. We don't want stormwater to be one of those things. Thank you.
Yeah, you said there was a drop in the budget for the stormwater drainage. This is the second round.
A what? A drop?
In the budget for stormwater, the 60 million going to
No, 60 minutes was SPLOST.
SPLOST.
Right. So SPLOST is a special purpose local option sales tax. That was funded by the voters. We don't start collecting that until I believe next year. So that's $60 million to have nothing really to do with that. This just deals with our continued improvement of our drainage system.
Sorry, I was coming in late, not even fashionably.
No
but
problem.
I'm asking, the second round of meetings that you guys are having, what exactly is that looking like? How is that different from the first round of meetings? What are you guys gauging from these community engagement events?
That's a good question. So I think what we've been really gathering is that people want to understand it. We have a very engaged citizen base. Initially you have people, oh, here y'all go again. They come to the meetings and they're like, oh, okay, now we understand why we're being able to do that. Again, we were having a meeting, I believe it was this summer, and it was pouring down raining. We were at the Eli Whitney site, and it was pouring down raining outside, and we didn't realize it inside that people were flooding outside. And we were all getting these calls and texts. I think Ethan went outside, left, and came back, had pictures and stuff of cars floating and stuff. And I mean, just to show you how quickly this kind of stuff happens. We have to put this investment in. If we don't like the types of flooding we're having, we have to improve our stormwater system. We did a press conference with SPLOST. We were showing how we had pipes that were like literally this big that were moving water. We're going to now, these pipes that were so big, I actually stood in one of them. Stood straight up. I'm 5'10", I stood straight up in them. I mean, you have to put those bigger pipes in the ground. It costs, and we have to just make those investments. I refuse for us to kick the can down the road and one day wish that we had went ahead and had that foresight. But we could do it now in very small, very incremental ways, and really solve the problem over a longer period of time than be in a situation where we have these sinkholes or we have these other issues and we're trying to rush to find money to be able to fund them.
And then also taking it back to the city partnering with Second Harvest.
Yes.
What were kind of initial conversations like? How did that necessarily spark, this idea to donate 1,400 food boxes to people in Savannah?
Well, several weeks ago, when this shutdown first happened, I came to this podium and I talked about Savannah being a city of hospitality, but we're hospitable first to people who live here, and that we were going to do what we could to make sure that we were partnering not only with Second Harvest, United Way, other nonprofits that address the needs of our citizens. From that, born an idea of how can we do that. So one way was working with Second Harvest in the county to get food out quickly. But we realized that's not enough. This was maybe 3 or 4 days of food. We also recognized that, again, I was there. People were coming from South Carolina. I looked at license plates kind of intentionally. They were coming from other counties. We want to make sure that our citizens have this opportunity. Well, we know the food costs. So we have directly purchased this food at a rate of total about $50,000 to make this investment, intentional investment in people who live in Savannah. And then we'll see where we are. Hopefully, if the shutdown ends, we might be all right. If we have to go to the well again, we'll go to the well again. But our goal is that if you live in the city of Savannah, food is the last thing you have to worry about. And so the kindness and benevolence of our partners, businesses have been outstanding and overwhelming. People have been giving gift cards and all of these things. I was at TSA and I'm talking there with folks at our airport that are still coming to work every day and not having lunch. And so we're just not going to be that type of city. And so I've been very proud of our partners, particularly United Way, particularly Second Harvest. This is what we do. We come together, we figure it out. Our chamber has been a part of it. The Savannah Chamber has been a huge part of that. Again, we just appreciate the partnership.
And then previewing this weekend, the Southern Savannah Half Marathon. I believe in the past you said that Savannah wasn't a marathon city, but how is it preparing for a half marathon 5K this weekend?
Yeah, I said that we were not a full marathon city. And, there is a significant difference. Full marathons, the difference between 26.2 and 13.1 miles, 26.2 miles, particularly those that are qualifying for another marathon, has specific regulations that just tie up our city. We are a very condensed, dense city. We have major roadways that cannot be avoided. And we do not want to unduly impact our residents. We have found that 13.1s, half marathons, 5Ks, 10Ks work a lot better. They're faster races, they're shorter races. We're able to move streets. We can open up streets, close streets as we need to. So that's the difference with that. I think for us, people, it'll be great weather. People will come, they'll enjoy themselves, they'll run as fast as they can, and then they'll go about their business, and Savannah will get back to theirs. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr.
Good morning.
Mayor. Kirsten Wassalka with WJCL.
Yes, ma'am.
So this morning, Recorder's Court Judge Joe Huffman said that your ordinance about guns left in cars is unconstitutional and unenforceable. What's your response?
I mean, unconstitutional comes from the Supreme Court. We've had this in existence now for quite some time, and we have reduced the number of guns and vehicles stolen from unlocked vehicles in Savannah. Beyond that, this has been in existence for now over a year and a half, and he has said nothing about that before. So it is what it is.
And then in your State of the City address, you said crime in Savannah has decreased, but at the same time, it still remains higher than state and national averages. What factors do you think contribute to that?
I said, go back. I said what?
That crime in Savannah has decreased.
Yes.
But it's still higher than the state and national
I
averages.
didn't say that.
You didn't say that?
No, I did not.
I'm saying that.
Okay, well,
yes.
I'm not saying that. I did not say that. I said that crime in Savannah continues to decrease. There are some things that, for us, any amount of crime is unacceptable. Now, in terms of state or local averages, again, it depends on the particular state, and it depends on the average. I mean, you have to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. Savannah would have a different experience in a smaller city. Savannah would have a different experience as a rural city. Savannah will have a different experience as a city that does not have, or a state that does not have the types of gun laws that allow guns to be everywhere. So I think you have to be very, very careful when you're looking at numbers as you did, because apples are not apples and oranges are not oranges. Crime is fluid. And there are many mitigating factors that address issues of criminality. And so to say, well, crime is here, Savannah's here, and in Idaho is something different, it is really not a fair representation or an accurate depiction of crime in Savannah. We have crime like we have crime everywhere else. Crime is a function of people. We continue to do what we can to address it within the context of where we are. But on the other end of it, if you have a judge that says, well, you saying that not locking your car is unconstitutional, it's that type of attitude. I think the other thing that you probably did not lift up is the fact that we've also had over 20, I believe, criminal convictions from our U.S. prosecutor that I think shows the city's commitment to be able to address violent crime in our community. Thank you.
So,
Go ahead.
back to the gun ordinance and that recent ruling from Judge Huffman, how has it been working for you prior to this?
I think it's been working fine. Again, this is something, the judge has not communicated anything to me. So I'm not familiar with anything. Again, we're here every day. And so if it was not constitutional, then why, if it's unconstitutional, the fact of the matter is every lawsuit so far has been dismissed regarding it. Now, admittedly, they've been because of issues of standing and not necessarily the merits of the case one way or another. But I will also tell you that it was interesting to me that the state legislature last year was trying to change state law that would specifically make our ordinance unconstitutional. What tells me is that, because we are addressing the car and not the gun, that our ordinance is constitutional.
When we record requested the data in terms of how this particular ordinance is working to curtail crime, we only found one citation, a few warnings, but one citation. So do you think the data tells a different story of its efficacy?
When did you request the data? Okay, well, my state of the city was addressed. There was several ordinances. I don't know why you would have a ordinance, saying there was only one, because actually, I believe one of your reporters actually September said that there was even more than that. So I think we have to come to a meeting of the mind, because even what you're reporting, what your other reporter reported was different than what we reported. And of course, we put on the record at our State of the City last week. For us, it was never about, and it is never about being punitive. It's really about the educational effect of telling people that the firearm is a deadly weapon. And if you have a firearm in the car, as a former law enforcement officer, I would tell you, if you have a gun in the car, you have a responsibility just to lock the car. Just not to make it easy for somebody to open the door. I mean, we know that people are not breaking into cars anymore like they used to. Now it's so easy. And the fact of the matter is, looking at the number of guns stolen from unlocked vehicles, I mean, it's very clear to us that this is working. And I think, again, it's not the punitive effect, it's the educational effect, because people are saying, oh, let me lock my car. Oh, let me take my firearm with me. Oh, let me put it in the trunk, or let me lock it in the glove box. Again, we're asking for people to have and take just that one extra step. I would love it if we issued 0 citations and we had 0 guns stolen from unlocked cars. If the gun is supposed to be with you for protection, then why is it in the car? What's the purpose of it? Then obviously you're not being protected in that way. Any gun owner, any responsible gun owner, any professional gun owner will tell you that number one is gun safety. And so, again, we're trying to make sure that these guns that are stolen from cars that are locked and unlocked in Savannah don't end up in a crime somewhere else. In 2023, I believe we had over 200 guns stolen, and this year we're like 109 or something like that. I mean, again, obviously somebody's getting the message.
Sure. And considering, again, Judge Huffman's recent ruling, how does this affect the policy and the city's message moving forward?
It affects nothing. I don't know what he was talking about. It was not communicated to me. We have an ordinance. It has been in existence for well over a year, and it continues, and we'll continue to cite under that ordinance. Thank you.
A couple of follow-ups. I'll follow up on that. Are you aware of the context of this ruling?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, this was news to me, so.
Okay.
The news gave me the news, so.
Okay. Cop 30. You were going to go down there to present. Were you just going to attend, or were you going to present? Or?
I had 3 to 4 speaking engagements there. I was one of the only U.S. Mayors invited. Obviously, this was a year where America, the country, was not represented. So I was sought out and asked to come and speak, and so was happy to go not only represent Savannah in the work that we've been able to do, but also represent the United States. The title of it was "We're Still In." And so I think it's important for us in terms of presence to make sure that these countries know that we're still in this climate battle. We're still engaged.
Any topics in particular, just talking about what the city's doing resilience-wise?
Right. Really about the city's efforts and resilience, some of the work that we've already done, our engagement with subnational relationships, which has been very important. While nations fight out whatever they're fighting out, we've really relied on really building relationships with cities. And so they felt that Savannah was a leader in that. And so I was honored to not only be solicited and asked to come in and be a part. Was disappointed. I did not go. I've been to Brazil, but I had not been to Belém, which is in the Amazon, to go and check it out. So we do have a staff member that's on the ground there who is engaging in my stead.
Were you able to get out of Savannah, or did everything?
No. Well, I did not. I was able to. I had a flight, but now the flight that left 2.5 hours late. Actually, now in retrospect, it might have missed the flight to Miami anyway. Even if the flight to Miami took off, I think it took off late, and I would have missed that flight anyway, which would have created the same issue, and I would have been stuck. But my luggage had a great flight to Atlanta, enjoyed itself at Hartsfield, and came back on Monday.
The food distribution. You said that city residents have to show city ID that proves they live in the city. Was there any thought to saying, because I believe SNAP and WIC have an EBT card, was there any thought to asking people to show that in order to get food distribution?
Well, because the focus is not totally on SNAP. Again, there might be people who work for the federal government or people whose business, it might be farmers who can't sell their crops. I mean, it could be anybody. So for us, it's not exclusively the SNAP. It's anybody who's facing food insecurity at this time. So they could show their EBT card, but they could also, be someone that, work. The interesting thing was that on my social media page, there were some people and people on social media sometimes can be so heartless. They will, well, look at that. That's a nice car they're driving. Like, why are you worrying about the type of car that they're driving? Everybody could drive a new car, and then if you haven't had a paycheck in a month, that new car doesn't mean anything. And so, fact is, you just never know what people are going through. You never know what challenges they're facing. And so, for us, we just want to be able to be of help. But in this case, we really wanted to drill down for Savannah residents.
The real reason I came today was to ask you,
But you would come and say hello.
That too, but I'm doing a little quirky story on movie props in Savannah, and of course, two of our most iconic are the burger.
Is that slow in news?
Yeah.
At AJC?
Yeah, we got a little holiday evergreen. But two of the most iconic, of course, are the Brick Girl statue that was in a city cemetery and the Forrest Gump bench that was in the city square. Neither one of them are there anymore. I understand that certainly keeping them there and having a crush of tourists in those areas would probably not be the best solution. Can you kind of speak to why maybe those are in museums and not where they were at least at one point?
So here's the secret. And I hate to even tell you this because it's one of Savannah's most deeply held secrets. The Forrest Gump bench is not real. It was never there. It was a movie prop. They did a really good job for Savannians. We know that there was never a bench there. They created that bench there. And if you notice, the bus is going in the wrong direction. The traffic flow it goes west, and this way they had the bus going east. But so it was a prop. And so I've always thought about, people come in and say, they always ask me, where is the Forrest Gump bench? And the fact is, it's like, I don't have the heart to tell them it doesn't exist. I just say that way. But I would like to consider a way that we could figure out some kind of way to mark the spot. The concern obviously is that it's also at the edge of a street. And so we think it would become a major public safety hazard that ultimately we'd be blamed for. But we never owned the bench. And of course, the other one that you mentioned was it was the Bird Girl. Yeah, we never owned that. Now that was on city property. And so the city worked with the family. I think the family donated it to the Telfair. And they donated to them, I guess, for safety and for posterity. And so we really didn't have anything to do with that. It's both, well, of course, the Bird Girls at the Telfair and the prop of the Forrest Gump benches at the Savannah History Museum, so people could view it safely and at their convenience. Thank you. And I think the other side of it, especially with the other statue, is that it was in a cemetery. And the reality is that our cemeteries are sacred places. I mean, we recognize that in our cemeteries, they become tourist places, but we also, remember first that it's a place of somberness and respect and sacred ground. And so we have to balance the needs of our families and our dearly departed to have a place of rest, and then people wanting to come and see that. And so I can understand it would be kind of unduly intrusive to have that statue there where you have just people coming and doing stuff that they do in cemeteries. So
Free of selfies, right?
Free of selfies. The Bird Girls statue, I think, is owned by the Trosdale family. They wanted to move it. Of course, after it appeared on the book cover, everybody wanted to be able to see it. So we have a place where people can come in and see it safely, and then also respect our sacred places and our public spaces. Thank you. Anything else? You have anything? All right. Thank you all so much. Again, it's Wednesday, so we're a little bit off today, but it was still a good week. Temperatures be back in the 70s by tomorrow and for the weekend. Thank you all so much, and thank you for being Savannah Strong.